love Dungeons & Dragons. Now, experience the ultimate way to play, D&D Beyond. Take up the mantle of Dungeon Master to add friends to your campaign. Enable content sharing so that the entire party can access your books and content. Then, after you've noted who didn't bring snacks, unleash unspeakable terrors on them using the Encounter Builder and Combat Tracker. Ah, here we go. You never bring chips, huh, Dave? You get the gelatinous cube. Classic. D&D is for everyone. D&D Beyond makes it easy.
This was a week of so much news. So I'm going to try to get us through all of the other things there are to talk about as quickly as I can. I am here, of course, if you're just joining us, with Sam Leve and Xander, Jeanneret, two of my favorite people to talk nerd stuff with. And we have so much more, because not only did we just get a new book announcement, an adventure that's coming out in March, pre-order Critical Role Call of the Nether Deep. I'm just saying you should.
It's the official noise.
Underwater noise. In addition to that book dropping, we also have some delicious things to play with at your table if you are a fan of using the playtest material known as Unearthed Arcana.
Whoa.
This last Friday, we got new Unearthed Arcana posted from Wizards of the Coast, and this time, they're a little different. This time, we met some travelers of the multiverse with some, to some folks, quite familiar names. So there were 6 new playable races in this Unearthed Arcana, and just first reactions, folks, to seeing the travelers of the multiverse Unearthed Arcana.
I mean, I don't know. Can I say this on here? But Spelljammer confirmed? Like, this is what it reads like to me, as if we are building up to a big old Spelljammer release. This is just my theory.
My guests are allowed to say anything they want on the channel. I will be excited to share anything I know if and when I have anything to share. But I can say that this was the Unearthed Arcana that just came out, and that these are some very cool, like, that's just a fact that some of these are familiar things. If anyone would like to send me secret information, they are welcome to do so. But, you know,
Also,
later, off the stream.
just not to make you feel ancient, Amy, but I call this out every time I see it. This as a phone, it doesn't work anymore. It's either this or even this.
Like FaceTime? What is this?
Yeah.
Call me?
Who wants to perceive? No one gets to perceive my face.
Anyway, Spelljammer.
So these are some species that may sound familiar to folks who played earlier Dungeons & Dragons material in a special vein known as Spelljammer, fondly remembered by many, many folks. I did not grow up on Spelljammer. I grew up like Spelljammer adjacent. A lot of my friends loved it, but I had never played in a Spelljammer campaign. Can anyone do what's in 30 seconds? What should people know about the old school setting where you might have first encountered several of these races?
Magic in space in the 80s.
Which at the time was not retro, it was just actually the 80s.
It was, but like the height of it.
What if you could go to all of your settings in one setting and also be in space, where each sort of plane would be an orb within this greater meta world, and you can bounce around between them, allowing for a continuity of party across multiple settings, while also, yes, going to space. I am personally particularly hyped to be seeing increased support, if not overt confirmation, of any advanced Spelljammer materials, given that I'm about to be starting a Spelljam campaign at the beginning of this month with Starjam for the Streampunk. So, like, getting this drop is so... It's an insight into what I might be seeing out in space, and what everybody who has been interested in Spelljammy kind of stuff are going to put in the moon is Spelljam.
Yep. I see it now.
It's all coming together.
Update
Tinfoil
your
intensifies.
corkboard conspiracy.
It's all connected.
Yes. to be clear, we don't have any other information to comment on for this. But this is the Unearthed Arcana. These are the playable races. So let's get into it. Out of the 6 listed, which are the GIF and or GIF, we'll get into that. The Hadazee, the thri-kreen, the Autognome, the Plasmoid, and the Astral Elf. 2 of which currently exist in 5th edition as part of monster lore, but not as playable races. Do you have a fave that you were excited for or want to comment on the build of in our Unearthed Arcana? Sam?
I am always a fan of creatures who glide. If you have a Patagium, you are my friend. Patagium being the flying squirrel or sugar glider material. The Hadazee are simian in overall flavor, but they are a little bit crossed with what we understand of, like, flying type entities. It is the first that I'm aware of that does not have overt flight, but rather gliding abilities that function not entirely unlike a free feather fall. There's in this version of Unearthed Arcana, when you would take damage from a fall, you use your reaction, much in the same way you would use Featherfall, to reduce your damage to 0. The death from above potential is endless and deeply entertaining. The amount of wild risks you can now take
The sneak attacks
are absolutely delightful. Right, exactly. And things that you could carry that are heavy that you could just jump on with. There are a lot of circumstances when you do death from above someone, you will also take fall damage while doing damage. Now, you hurt them, they don't hurt back. It's like no tag backs, but for, a new race in this game. They also have an ability to take the use an object action as a bonus action. When Amy and I were talking about Wild Beyond the Witchlight, we were talking about the Herongon's leaps and how it's adding disengage abilities outside of things like the rogue's cunning action, making it more, adding versatility to the bonus action in ways that are pretty cool. And I believe use an object is gonna open up some possibilities, especially when paired with some cool items, possibly potions. So there's a lot of utility in this seemingly very basic ability that just makes it so much better. Also, you can be medium or small, and that just is it mission critical? It's important.
I constantly keep forgetting that we're going to be in space because I'm picturing this in like a D&D like fantasy environment, but now it just changes everything because you have like basically a monkey in a spacesuit.
More dimensions to play with, more options to play with. I don't know if you can glide in the space. You need a specially designed one with space for the membranes. Okay, now I would like to see it. Please send art of the monkey spacesuit situation for the Hadazee or Hadozee. I was doing a poll among my friends of how we pronounce it, and nobody had the same answer.
Right.
So, speaking of how you pronounce it, I am gonna pop over to our friends, the GIF.
The
who
GIF
are the
or the GIF? The GIF?
exactly
The GIF?
the best random joke in this entire Unearthed Arcana has to be the raging internal debate among the GIF over how their name is pronounced. They go half and half, GIF and GIF, but the fights can be very intense. So please choose a side and go to war accordingly. And I just love that detail so much.
Yeah. But they also
this is
say
the world building we need.
right? They also say like towards the end, they're like, but it's not that deep. They only like butt heads a couple of times and then that's it. Like it's not that deep.
Yeah. Like a low boil war. There we go.
Yeah. Good natured.
Xander, did you have a fave on this list you want to take a look at?
Well, it's funny because when you said glide, my first thought was my favorite on here, and that's the plasmoid, but I think it was gliding in a different way. I'm always a fan of taking the monster manual and then letting me play that. So having an ooze as a playable like ancestry is so fascinating to me, and it's so far away from like the humanoid experience, or it could be very much like it. It says in there it has the traits almost like a changeling of being able to change. Are you bipedal? Are you tripedal? Do you have one arm? Do you have 7 arms? Are you just a blob? I love that.
I'm so
And
excited about this one and the possibilities. And my brain too went into a like, you rest in a liquid state. And I was like, okay, so you're gonna need a bucket.
exactly.
A la our friend Odo. Um,
And a tough disposition and the sheriff of the station.
Nerds.
you can build it. No one is
Yeah.
stopping you. But yes, I'm very excited about the possibilities there. The plasmoids seem super fun. And
Yeah.
the thri-kreen, of course, are associated not just with Spelljammer, but with Dark Sun, with a few different settings where they've popped up over time. And they're
Yeah.
just fun because I don't know. I like using other body models for your playable characters is very cool. So they like, here's what happens with your extra arms that you have because that's just what
The
you're like.
secondary.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's neat.
It's neat on a conceptual level, it's neat on an execution level, and like what you can do with those and what builds that enables, because while you can only use light weapons and the secondary limbs and there are restrictions on shields and so on, that doesn't restrict your primary arms. So you can, have a greatsword and also have something else, also have a focus, something else you need to use hands for. Those are available with your secondary limbs. Plus, like, just on top of whatever else, you get telepathy. This is not the first
Right.
class that not the first character race that gets that. Kalashtar, I think, were the first released to have telepathy just as a feature. But it in this build that's already so cool and so unlike us, there's this
Right.
additional not just body model but also mental mode and form of communication.
Yeah, I was going to bring
Good
that up
flavor.
too. Just the role playing opportunities too. This brings a whole different flavor to this character that you're playing at the table on how they communicate through like the clicks. Do they talk through their minds, or do you have access to that? There's just unlimited opportunities here. And in space, telepathy's the best.
No air required for moving
Yeah.
speech. Roleplay possibilities wise, we can't get into all of them full length. Oh, and I should mention, of course, most of you will remember from past dev updates that the Unearthed Arcana races we're talking about today are not going to be buildable on D&D Beyond. Although, of course, you are always welcome to play with the homebrew tools and make and share things with your table to enjoy the possibilities that are out there in D&D. But roleplay possibility wise, I have to say I cannot wait to roll up an auto gnome.
Oh goodness.
Just-
It's just
just a little-
C3PO.
You want to
mechanical
talk
little
about the
buddy.
like space possibilities, they just don't have to breathe, which
Right,
means
right?
you could ride on the outside
Oh my goodness. It's all happening.
of
It's
your
all happening.
spaceship.
So it's actually R2D2, really, but with
It is
a
R2D2.
little
Yeah, it's
wider range of
the-
communication.
I'm
It's
so
the
excited.
new party position. It's the hood ornament.
I want to see the rulings for like what's your perception bonus for being the hood ornament position.
Yeah. You get prime scanning position. Here we go.
Fallon Grimm wants to know, since we're talking space, what would you name your pet giant space hamster?
Oh,
And Boo is
I
taken.
mean there is the impulse to name it something cute like Cheddar or Whistles or something like that because the irony of it being a giant space hamster. But I don't know. I'd have to think
Chonkers.
about it. Zonkers?
Chonkers, 100%.
Chonkers.
For sure.
Big chunk. Chungus.
Just lean into it. If
Perfect.
you're gonna go for like the juxtapositional name,
Yeah.
I will be what it says on the space hamster tin. There's also just rhyming it. Like, sure, Boo is taken, but Moo? Roo?
Moo.
Just keep going.
Now it's a
Just have a
parody.
theme. Oh yeah, because it's a parody.
Amazing. So, along with the Unearthed Arcana, I'm so sorry. There's so much happening. we got some more interesting stuff from our friends at Wizards of the Coast in the form of a Sage Advice column, which helped to talk about the evolution of creatures and creature design going forward in Dungeons and Dragons. And I would encourage anybody watching this to go read that update because it's very full of interesting detail and the thinking behind what we've seen in some of the most recent books and what we're likely to see going forward. And it talked about some changes to the stat blocks of monsters and as you run them, and some changes to the way they're presenting playable races. And so I would like to tee Sam up for a big old thank you for explaining so aptly in advance a lot of what was going to end up turning out to be the real thinking when you did visit us to go over the Fairy and Harrigan races. Thoughts on the Sage Advice, please?
All thanks go to Apollo for the gift of prophecy.
Praise be to Apollo.
But they have been teeing this up for a while in various ways through Tasha's, through Wild Beyond the Witchlight, even through the Unearthed Arcana that was released today, that or released this past week, that uses a lot of these kinds of things. Like that seems it was just by all accounts the way that was moving forward and now integrated into what we formally see. And it's such a relief. It's such a healthier direction to me overall. And I'm equally excited by the emphasis that it puts on other non-numbers related aspects of character races. Like we've been talking about all of the cool abilities that we're seeing in Unearthed Arcana. And when it's not about the attribute bonuses, it's the flavor of that race and how the potential of those abilities. Like I don't have to care about whether or not something has a +2 dex. I can focus on just having way too many arms.
Right. Yeah, and we had mentioned this previously, but for a lot of people that we know that really want to get into the industry, especially like game design, this is a fascinating document to look at because you really get to see what they tested and what worked, what didn't work. And they're still testing things. They're like, hey, when we tried this thing with alignment, you know, this is how it worked out. We decided that maybe when we think of a specific character, we'll give them an alignment, but maybe not for, you know, a humanoid, because who knows? That's up to the scenario. So I think it's fascinating that they let us in to see the like machinations on what goes behind this.
I think, and it's one thing I'm endlessly grateful for the organized thinking and clear presentation style that marks so many of the best game writers and game designers, because their entire job is to take a complicated concept and try to make it so that as many people as possible will understand exactly what they meant and get it in as few words as they can squish onto a page, which is a tough and just complicated art that they make look very easy. So it's why it's a pleasure to read these kinds of design updates, as it, you know, these folks are not new. That it long has been to read a Jeremy Crawford article. But I will say some of the smaller things I'm really looking forward to in terms of the changes. I obviously philosophically I love the changes to laying out like alignment and different ability score management. I think that's really cool stuff. But I also love really little things like moving the reactions to their own section, or the bonus actions to their own section for the monster stat block, so that when I'm a DM, I'm less likely to forget what the monster can do. It's a good idea.
It happens so much, and I'm like, oh, I could have done this cool thing, and it would have been a cool thing for the players to experience, and it just slipped my mind because it wasn't where I needed it to be.
It's going to be a lot tougher to counterspell, but only sometimes.
Information design is quality of life for an endless number of GMs, and it's also cognitive accessibility for a lot of GMs. That if something is not where it is easily prominent for someone to see, it is easy for tons of people to miss, not really get with difficulty. It creates friction to engaging this material. And so to take such care, even with things like the organization of stat blocks, pays off 100-fold, because I am told dungeon masters look at a couple stat blocks now and again.
We've been known to do so. So here's an example of sort of a new style stat block, sort of breaking things up into actions and bonus actions.
Oh,
And I
it's
don't
Sir
believe
Dat Boy.
he's the cutest.
Yeah.
I love the Bullywug Knight very much. You can take a look at sort of the new layout. Do check out all those recommendations. The changes to spellcasting that are going to make it a spellcasting action, essentially. An action to sort of hit you with some fire magic. And some separate things that are spells, more likely to be utility spells used by officially spellcasting things. It is all explained much better in the article, which I recommend. But if you have questions about these changes, that is the place to find your answers, along with a little bit of clarification about our Harengon friends and how their jump works, which I also appreciated. Because I was like, I assume you can do not the full movement, but I'm not sure. And D&D was like, we got you.
Yeah. They knew.
Yeah. Even spatially,
right.
like, is it a long jump or high jump? Is a jump.
Triple jump?
It's its own deal. But now, hey, I guess you can't be a Haragon and a Hay to Z at the same time, but you have minimizing the fall damage that would have happened had you managed to leap yourself off of I don't know, figure it out. Sam can make it work.
It sounded like you just spoke an adage of some sort.
You can't be a Haragon and a Hay to Z, as we all know.
As the ancient saying tells us.
Yeah.
I love that very much. Okay, let's see. We're almost out of time for today, so I don't want to run out of time. There are a few more updates with new and recent books. You may have noticed that, unlike a couple of my streams last week indicated, the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons book is going to take a little bit longer to hatch than we anticipated. So we're going to get that on October 26th. Coming to regular book places and to digital outlets like D&D Beyond. So thank you for your patience. We all know that the world is a complicated place to be making new stuff right now. So we will be very excited for that when it lands, and we have a lot more dragon goodness to look forward to. But speaking of new and recent releases, I believe, Xander, you brought a treat for stream today?
Yes. Well, I am so fortunate in that sometimes with a new release, the good people over at Wizards will send me like the press kit for things, including the Wild Beyond the Witchlight like special editions. So it has like a foil cover. This is just show and tell for me now. But also I feel a little guilty because I haven't done anything with this yet. So this is me doing something with it. Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
A box. It's
Get
just what
lost
we always
in
want.
Adventure. The Witchlight Carnival is coming to town, and they sent over a whole bunch of stuff. So, including some Bright Might Dimple cotton candy, which I don't know how old this is, but it's plastic wrapped. It's fine. What a texture!
Spoken like a true D&D character.
Constitution check.
Make a con save.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Yay!
There are also some scents from Cantrip Candles, who have an amazing brick and mortar store in Hollywood. If you're in the area, definitely go and check it out. We've got the Domain of Delight and the Witchlight Carnival. So let's see what my room will smell like now.
I feel like that's a one or the other situation.
Yeah, just this. Oh, it's like popcorn, like kernel or what's it? Not candy corn, but caramel corn. That's amazing. Kettle corn, like a sugary kettle corn. Yeah.
Delightful.
Okay. And some dice, some Witchlight dice, and it's all in some cool firelight dice, and it's in like a amazing box that has like the Easter grass in it to show the wild.
I love that. What a great package that is.
There's one more thing. I don't even know. Oh, it's a magnetic hourglass.
Oh, friggin' cool.
To help you keep track
Just
of time.
as a player, I see one of those and it freaks me out. I know there's about to be a time
I'm using
challenge.
this in a campaign.
No.
For sure.
I'm fine.
Anyway, thanks.
Fine.
This is delicious.
That's really fabulous. And a lot of those items are deeply thematic with the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I like what they did there. There's some very smart and sneaky choices going into that. So before we wrap up today, final thoughts on the things that we talked about, or any standout elements from this extremely packed week of D&D information. Sam?
Yo, I have like 3 weeks until I'm gonna go be a dragon in space, and everything is apparently gonna be ready
It's all
for me.
lined up.
It's all coming together. So I'm incredibly excited because it means everyone can come with me on this incredible journey. The stuff that is coming out now is not only like so fast, everything has happened all at once, but everything is so interesting and quality and engaging and inspiring to want to go and play. I want to go and glide up on someone now. I want to just be a hood ornament. Like, there are so many possibilities that I get to, once again, test the database limits of D&D Beyond and how many characters unlimited really is.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I'm going to talk to the software people, see if we're running out of space yet, and we'll just keep going. I'll let you know. Xander, final thoughts on any of the announcements from this week?
Yeah, I mean, like we had mentioned before, it's just so great to see our friends doing amazing things in the space and getting recognized as like professional, but even though they always have
For
been.
the record, they are professionals. We just
Yeah.
have been very lucky enough to occasionally cross paths with some of the folks who are now the, like, just to clarify.
Exactly.
These
Yes,
are
yes,
extremely
yes.
well qualified people with large bodies of work. They're just also neat human beings.
Absolutely.
Okay, please continue. Sorry.
No, that's like the big thing to celebrate here. Also, that we have enough news about Dungeons and Dragons that in 2021, I'm here talking about this when I was just as excited for Spelljammer in whenever that was out.
For that year.
Yay! But thanks for having us on.
Of course, it has been a pleasure to have you both. Where can the people find you, Xander Jeanneret?
Yes, you can find me at Xanderific with 2 R's and 1 F, all over the place, but mainly on Twitter. But I'm also going to be streaming here in a couple of minutes on my Twitch channel of the same name. Today we're playing through, well, I've been playing through the Legend of Zelda series, starting from the very first one. And right now we're on A Link to the Past. So we're going to continue on through that. And then I'm playing some Dungeons and Dragons tonight on that Bronze Girls channel. We're continuing our campaign Shakar, which is very lighthearted and fun, but still like fantasy D&D. So that'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific time on her channel. But all of my schedule is up on my Twitter, so make sure to check that out.
And Santa, where can people find you on any day, but maybe especially on today, the day of your birth? Happy birthday, Sandalev!
Oh, no, we'd make it!
It happened!
Thank you. I'm very lucky in that there have been multiple years that I've gotten to spend such a birthday with these humanoids.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I've often gotten to game on birthday, and so this is a particular blessing and gift for me. So, thank you, Amy. When I'm not hanging out with these wonderful people making jokes about space and tinfoil theories about Critical Role supplements, you can find me as a role-playing performer and variety streamer throughout the Twitchernet. My Twitch is Delevely, Delevely, and my Twitter's at Tchaikovsky, like that, Chaikovsky. But please do also check out Streampunks RPG on Twitter, because that will have more news about our upcoming Star Jam game, the Spelljam game, where I'll be playing a dragon. It's perfect.
It's gonna be great.
Truly,
check it out.
I don't know if Wizards heard that y'all were doing this and are like, let's help them out. I assume that
Like,
is
really?
unlikely because of the temporal nature of the universe, but who knows? I am very excited to check that out. Thank you both for being on. Please respond in the comments or the Twitch chat with which of these things you are most excited to get into. And I will see you all next time on D&D Beyond.
It's D&D.